Talk about taxes, your taxes. The Biden administration is looking to make some changes to the tax code. So what are the implications to your money, to your long-term portfolio? Rebecca Walser's with us, president at Walser Wealth Management. Before we get into some of the specifics, tell me why we need to truly understand the tax implications, because it's not just investing, right?
You're right, Nicole. I think that, think about it this way. What if we could build everybody $100 million, right? Sounds great until you ask, okay, what is the tax on that? Like, how much do I actually get to spend of that? How much can I control of that? And if you say we have a 60 to 70% tax, then maybe $100 million portfolio isn't really worth having if it's only really worth $30 million after the government takes their share. So we always have to look at tax when we're talking about investments and how they tie together.
And so when you look at this tax policy, which is always changing, we need to understand. And so which plans may be better or worse as tax implications on your money, right?
Absolutely. And I have some serious concerns, Nicole, about this current administration, because they do seem to be kind of wealth adverse, and the sense that we already have, talk of a wealth tax for people that have $50 million and up. And you have to understand this money's already been taxed, right? It's been taxed at the various stages, and now it's just sitting as wealth, and they want to come back and tax that as well. But the bigger problem that applies to a lot more people is really the estate tax. So inside of our portfolio, we're always going to try to do tax loss harvesting. I will tell your audience, as a tax attorney, I would highly recommend that they take serious consideration towards Roth conversions of their pre-tax money. The entire reason that pre-tax deferrals came along was the logic is don't pay the tax while you're in your high earning years. Wait till you're retired and you're in your low earning years, or you have just Social Security, maybe some investments, and your tax bracket will go down and you'll pay lower taxes. But what's happening now, Nicole, is we literally have the retirement of the baby boomers between now and 2030. And so we have 60 to 65 million people that are still working that are going to retire. And so we're actually getting forecasts from the CBO of projections of much higher tax rates for the lower class and middle income tax brackets once the baby boomers retire. And so it's very likely that when you retire, you'll actually be in a higher bracket because of the retirement of the boomers. It's just going to shift everything. And so it's a great time to look at Roth conversions in these next 5 years before the tax rates really start to get impacted by the boomers.
Right. So we can't do what we always knew, which is just wait it out until you're 70 or whatever, because you might get hit really hard with taxes. So you're saying to convert this into
Absolutely.
Other means, such as you mentioned the Roth. I've also heard trying to put it into annuities and insurance and things like that are not taxed in the same way. So tell me about the Roth. You were suggesting that strategy to reduce the impact of taxes. Give us some of those strategies that you were telling us about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just awesome. So basically what we're trying to do is always maximize wealth and minimize tax, right? That's our goal. So we want to buy the government out of our portfolio for the cheapest cents on the dollar. And the reason, again, that we want to buy the government out and not defer and not use the stretch, we know stretch IRAs are eliminated through the Secure Act, January of 2020. So that is gone. We no longer can just pass down untaxed money into perpetuity down the down generations. So now we need to look at actually paying the piper and paying that tax. And because we do have this first time ever, this is a generational shift. This has never happened in the history of America, Nicole. So people need to understand that things in this decade, 2020 to 2030, have never happened before. This is our first full generation that will be fully retiring and moving on to Social Security and Medicare in a massive group of 60 plus million people. And that is what is going to upset the apple cart of taxation. So whereas you might be, and let's say your effective rate is 20% right now, and you expect it to be maybe 15 or 12% when you retire, but that's a middle class bracket. Now we're looking in retirement potentially somewhere in the 30 to as high as 60% range. And this is not unusual, Nicole. Just to give you an example, if you're in Denmark and you make 36,000, you're basically paying, a 60% tax rate. So this is what European style rates look like that we'll have here in America.
Rebecca Walser, thank you so much. President of Walser Wealth Management, giving us some great tips for the future. Thank you, Rebecca.